That puts pressure on the guy, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and it was a slightly different situation with him this time than it was the last time he was asked to bowl at that stage of the game, because last time at Chester Street, it was very, very cold, and to come from the outfield having done nothing at all, to get loose to bowl one over was a bit difficult. Today, much warmer weather, he would have been very loose. First ball right on target, and he bowled a good last over.
And yet I suppose you must say that England have thrown it away. They had a problem at 75 for 5. Alex Stewart and Craig White then steadied the ship and looked to put together the partnership that got them away from that problem. Put a couple of wickets at the end, the whole thing changes round. A couple of swings without due care and attention. They'll be disappointed they've lost, won't they?
I think they will be very disappointed. I think the latter stage, the approach wasn't quite right. I'm not too sure if Mark Ingham really approached his task properly. He was there with Alex Stewart. Alex Stewart was batting beautifully, hitting the ball well. His job was to perhaps pick up singles, get Alex Stewart on strike as much as possible. And although perhaps he was thinking that I can hit a 4, it wasn't necessary. You don't do what you think you can do, you do what's necessary. And they only needed about 5 runs and over. You don't need boundaries with that. Get the single, put Alex Stewart back on strike. I don't think the approach was quite right.
And in the end, I suppose, at the start of the day, England decided to bowl first. It looked as though the plan was to give themselves a bit of practice chasing, which they've now had. And they've now realised that they still have the odd problem chasing. And, I mean, despite all their success in the tournament, and they picked it up after a slightly slow start, they picked it up very well after a slow start. The one problem that they've had is that the middle order hasn't really had that much batting. There are still people in that middle order who can't say, well, yes, I'm in totally proper form. And, of course, the pressure that they were put under this afternoon has in effect proven the point.
Graham Thorpe is a good player, and I'm sure they are expecting and knowing that he will get runs eventually, but apparently at the moment he's not in the best of form. Even when he got a few runs, he still didn't look the Graham Thorpe that we know. Flintoff coming in at number 3 was an experiment that worked at Old Trafford. Hasn't really worked since then. And Graham Hick again, well, Graham Hick either gets very little or...
a man who gets naught in a hurry, as the old saying basically is, you can't tell whether you're out of form or not.
No.
And the innings before that, when he batted it around at Old Trafford, he certainly looked in very good touch then. It's just a question now, of course. They've got one more game left, the final, Zimbabwe versus England in 2 days' time at Lord's, where, OK, the only difference, I suppose, between the two sides now is that the Zimbabwe middle order, they've all got runs. We've seen tables during the course of the day. We've shown tables where there are 2 England batsmen in the highest run scorers list. There are about half a dozen Zimbabwe batsmen. And perhaps that might be a crucial factor.
I think it will be. I think that is why Zimbabwe always prefer to chase. I don't think they particularly like batting first. They fancy themselves to get almost any target that they are set. They did it beautifully at Chester Street. They were in a bit of bother there as well. 104 over 4 chasing 287. You think, okay, it's all over. But they never panicked. They never gave up. And they constructed their innings from there. They rebuilt their innings from there and gradually got to the target with a few balls to spare. They batted beautifully and they can chase anything.
And of course, England have bowled so well against them the last 2 games they've played that England have just nudged ahead, I'd say, in terms of the rankings. And they must be favourites, I'd say, for the final.
Definitely, England are favourites for the final because they have been playing better against Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe, outshone the West Indies, but against England they haven't really been clicking as well. And England have bowled well. Andy Carrick and Darren Gough have bowled well. England will go back to the dressing room this evening and say, perhaps we should have won, yes. But at the same time, Carrick and Gough weren't together. And they have bowled beautifully together so far. I think it might be a different situation against Zimbabwe.
And I think one thing that England will be looking back at when they analyse today's game is the way those last 3 wickets fell. We can have a look at them again now. Great piece of fielding here, Nagamuchu, with that great throw. Paul Franks hasn't had a great day. He's learned a lot in the course of it. But then Darren Gough, first ball, just misses it. Chris Gayle kept his head, bowled it straight. Alam Alali missed a straight ball. Chris Gayle has done everything that he could there at the end of the innings. As I said just now, it's a pressure job. You've got 1 over to bowl, 5 runs to defend. You bowl it straight, they miss, you've got a chance. That's the way it worked. West Indies have a victory which they can be proud. OK, that's the story of the day. Let's go and join Paul Ellett now for the presentations.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the presentation for this final group match in the NatWest series, and what a thrilling game of cricket it was to entertain you all here this afternoon. Now, there are 2 presentations to be made this afternoon, one by the chairman of Nottinghamshire County Cricket Club, Albert Bocking, who will present a cheque for £10,000 to the winning team, and there's Derek Brewer here from NatWest, who will make the man of the match presentation as well. So, without further ado, we'd like to call on Jimmy Adams, captain of the victorious West Indies team, to come forward and collect his cheque for £10,000. Jimmy, you can leave the tournament with a smile on your face, can't you? What a brilliant game that was.
I think it was a good game of cricket. I'd like to say to England, well played, and to say it was nice to really get the fight that we had from our lads in the second half. Still think we were about 20, 30 runs short, but the fellas went out, bowled a lot better than we've been bowling recently, and there was a lot more commitment today, and I think we got a good result.
It was a good effort from Rion King, wasn't it, to come back and get those 3 wickets in 2 overs, and I think that probably set up the start of your bowling performance.
Well, it did. I don't think we had the best start in the first 2 or 3 overs, but as you said, Rion came back, got some important wickets, and then everybody sort of slotted in after that.
Now then, talk me through this decision about the last over then. It must have been obviously your decision to bowl Chris Gayle, but it showed great confidence in him.
Well, he's done it for Jamaica many times in our regional cricket, so I think it's something that he's getting used to.
OK, well, he might get to have a chance to get used to it a bit more in the future. Well done, Jimmy. We'll see you in the Test series to come.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Now then, the Man of the Match award, well, a little bit like the game, it was a last-minute decision because there were various people, obviously, who could have come away with the award. Alex Stewart with his brilliant 100, second one in the competition. But the Sky commentators felt that Chris Gayle, for his performance in that last over when England only needed 5 runs to win, should be the man of the match. Chris receives a magnum of champagne and a medallion, and will get a cheque for £1,500. Chris, just come up here. Now, has the tummy stopped churning yet?
No, it's okay, it's okay.
You nervy?
Not really. I mean, at that situation, I know that I can do it.
And Jimmy, obviously, and the rest of the boys had an awful lot of confidence in you. That must have given you great heart.
Yeah, I mean, in the last game against Zimbabwe, it didn't really work, but it worked in this game. I'm happy with myself. OK, mate. Well done, Chris. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the presentation ceremony for this evening.
Well, congratulations then, Chris Gayle from Jamaica there picking up that award. The end to a very good day for him and his team. OK, news of other sports coming up on Sky Sports.